So good morning all. Today on our Thoughts on Education, we have a dignitary from Nitte School of Architecture, Planning and Design. Nitte School of Architecture is among the top colleges in Bangalore it's known for its Bachelor of Planning and Bachelor of Architecture courses. So today we have Dr. Chandran Rekha Jetty ma'am, Founder, Director and Principal of Nitte School of Architecture, Planning and Design. Dr. Chandran Rekha Jetty ma'am have an experience of over 32 in the field of teaching. So welcome ma'am. And thank you for taking a time out of your schedule for giving us an interview. It's a great honor for Collegedunia.
Before you ask me a question, I would like to give my introduction myself to the more,
Yes.
so that it is much more clearer to the students if they are joining an institution like us, what is the leadership would like
Sure,
to be.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually, I passed out from with my bachelor's and then did my master's from Anna University. I've done my MBA in I'm a Six Sigma Black Belt with QMS lead auditor, and I have a lot of exposure and qualifications in multimedia productions and CAD graphics, etc. Apart from software programming. So I have been a multidisciplinary person basically. And that apart with this 32 years of experience that you have been talking about with me, it is spread across the entire construction industry as well as the academia. Then I have worked with Centimeter Studio USA at Bangalore unit and worked for various projects in USA like Orlando and all that. And a lot of focus has been given throughout my career in the industrial research as well as academic research, which is something most of the students cannot decipher about. And being the founder principal of two institutes, one is in this Nitte and another is in Thakur School of Architecture and Planning in Mumbai. And that being said, I have currently been a regional director of CEGR, that is Center for Education Growth and Research, which is the only education think tank with 4 innovations that is stationed in Delhi. And I've been a chairperson for BOE, VQ, and the conference chairs for various programs in Athens, that is Greece and Singapore, China, and many other countries for that matter. In addition to that, I have a publications of about 42 papers in international journals, which are triple review, with Scopus and business journals and conference proceedings. That apart, I am Best Teacher Awardee from A3 Foundation from Dr. S.D. Sharma, who was working with Rekha Jetty for Chandigarh. And I've been a recipient of CEGR Regional Leader Award in 2019 and also Inspirational Leader Award in 2020 by ICCI, that is Integrated Chamber of Commerce of India. That apart, our institute is the only institute which is having planning in Karnataka under BTU. And if you look at Bachelor of Planning, there are only 2 schools in Karnataka. That is, one is at Mysore and one is ours, which with the 14th. And that apart, I have been the only person who has been receiving many FPP fundings from AICTE, ISTE, VJST, etc. For the faculty development program, and which we conducted across the country, where many faculties across the country have come down for skill mapping, orientation, and training. That is one of the most important things for architectural education to start with. Then I have led membership with the Indian Institute of Architects, Indian Society for Technical Education, CEGR, ICCI, and a fellowship. And that part, I'm a registered architect.
Glad to know, ma'am. So, ma'am, beginning with our first question for this interview. So, being a director and founder of Nitte School of Architecture, Planning and Design, what is your philosophy of leadership and how you describe your leadership style?
Okay. To me, a leader is the one who can align the institutional philosophies, goals, visions to the visions and the goals of the stakeholders of the institution, where I consider the stakeholders to be students, faculties, management, community, and self too. Because everybody who gets into any kind of a profession, for that matter, doesn't forget self. So self is also one of the factor in a leadership. And a leader must be committed and responsible, accountable at all times. We cannot have our faculty or students, we cannot blame them. We need to take that accountability on ourselves, and we need to be very progressive, highly cost, time, and quality oriented, dynamic with the changing world, and one has to change with the time and the space and the requirements of industries, and must be out of box thinker, must be a researcher, innovator, because being the leader, if we do not go ahead and be the out of box thinker, then we cannot expect below the line everyone to be the same. And education institutes as such have to have a very huge think tank, and that is leadership. And for every any kind of an we need to have a backup arrangement, because a leader cannot think of having solely one person as such, because if it is only one person, then what happens basically is if the person leaves the industry or institution for that matter, there is a vacuum that gets created. So it's a wholesome responsibility that comes. In addition to that, a leader needs a company follow the complete framework of the statutory and the regulatory body, and also guide our own institutional strategies and policies. In addition to what we call as implied requirements, which the management tends to bring in, that apart, very conscious of the social and the community development, and there should be a burning desire to make progress grow efficiently and effectively. And must be always a solution provider and not solution seeker. Because what happens is most of the faculty who come to me, they come with certain things. And I should be in a position to give the solutions and not go on seeking a solution from the faculty. Faculty should find their own solutions also, but I should be above them also. And should be accessible to the team, because I describe team as together each achieves more, and there's a cohesive learning pattern that happens with the team. That is something very important, and institution is as the leader leads to.
Yes. So, ma'am, coming towards our second question. So, being a director of Nitte School of Architecture, Planning and Design, how do you strategize your key program and plans for the marketing and administration of your school?
Okay, in terms of, first let me talk about administratively, and then I will talk about the marketing.
Sure.
See, the thing is, we work totally on the matrix kind of an administration. Where when we say matrix kind of administration, is we are talking about every faculty is not only reporting to the head of the department for the academics, but every faculty based on their talents and their skills, they are also working on the parallel levels in other activities. These things are very important for every faculty, because what happens is teaching and learning need not be always enchanting throughout the period. They need to do something that they like. So when we give them that kind of a potential to parallelly work with their own interest area, which is also one way aligned to the institutional goals. So what happens is they really take a lot of interest in actually doing a lot of work in their areas, plus the students get guided by these teachers who are not just bookish, but they are doing something more. So we tend to have a complete merger of the horizontal and the vertical integration of the academics to the new activities that they do. For example, public relation is one of the very vital skills for an architect. Okay, in order to later on in the future get the projects. And if the student who is being taught about all the subjects that are put across by the university, and they get a very good marks, but they are not good in public relation, then what is the use of such an architect? So we do a lot of such things. And apart that, there is a very important administratively I do is, in order to monitor the teachers and the faculty or administrative staff, or for that matter, anybody who is working in my institution, there is a competitive index that we have prepared, which the student evaluates, which is not only a student satisfaction survey, it is also faculty competitive index, which is totally based on attitude, discipline, and also academics. So this is how I go about. And yes, in terms of marketing, as I said, we do not have a dedicated listen team only to say that this is marketing, because we do not do direct marketing of anything. It is all about doing it highly in terms of awareness creation, because that is the fundamental that is required. When we create awareness, these people will understand that architecture is not a course which needs to seek a job. It is more an entrepreneurship kind of program. So in here, for example, let me tell you that planning in India, as per the UNESCO records, they require about 3 lakh planners in India by 2030. How many do we have? There is not even 4,000. So how do people know that there is a branch available that can really make a difference? That is not possible if we do not create an awareness. So this awareness indirectly is one way of our marketing. And if you look at the various boards of studies up to 12th standard, you will find these boards, none of them have got architecture or planning being taught anywhere. Physics, chemistry, maths, social sciences, all are taught till 10. And physics, chemistry, maths, electronics, all these subjects are taught in 12. But where is architectural planning and design? There's very little approach to that. And there are many NATA training centers which train them for the NATA. But just by training NATA, you have to clear that NATA competitive exam. It is not an exam also. It is an aptitude test. That aptitude test keeps varying on the scale of the person. So this particular test as such is not sufficient to tell a student what is architecture or what is planning. So what we do is, in fact, in a couple of years ago, like in 2017-18, my faculty had gone down to various parts of Karnataka, and they did an active, awareness program about architecture, where they never sought any seat for our college. They were only talking about what is architecture, and that really without a large number of students in our institution. Even in this pandemic, we have got very good admission, and as compared to the other institutions which are still having single-digit admissions currently. And that apart, in fact, Mr. Satish now from marketing team will be going and trying to help us in the marketing, and they have created some kind of department, marketing department. We are providing them all the information that we have about our institution. They may do so, but as an institution myself, I will not do the marketing. We will be doing more in terms of awareness camps. That is one. We want to be the change which we are looking for in the system.
That's something very insightful regarding the architectural field, because I am sure that most of the students are not even aware of this fact. So, ma'am, coming towards our next question, how does the curriculum of Nitte School of Architecture, Planning and Design ensures the best practice of industry and is an up-to-date with the current happenings in the field of architecture?
I should be excited to tell you that this is the first batch we got from Nitte. We are a 5-year-old institution, and our students have been placed in many of the offices, and offices are actually calling us and telling how nicely our students have adopted their office environment. This is mainly because we have something called academia, filling up the gap between academia and industry to academia. If you look at the entire education system, students study till 12th in the schools, and then they immediately change education. There is a big, huge gap that gets created. This gap is not understandable by the institutional faculties unless there is something unwinding sessions that happen where we unwind the student to the black zero. We also have psychologists, everybody with us who will so that that the gap, the changeover which happens, which is a small bridge though, that changeover makes them very comfortable. There we map their skills, and these mapped skill levels are actually sent to their parents, and also that becomes a focus point for giving them the proctors and the mentors. And our 35% of the marks is actually through those and rest of it is through the classroom sessions and exams, etc. So that is fun. So what happens is once the students are brought in and they say skill mapping orientation and then subsequently followed by an entire proctoral system. So what happens is we do the scaling up of their threshold capability. I don't know whether you're getting my point here. Threshold capability, every individual has different.
Yes.
And when they join any program, it is very essential that we try to identify their threshold capability through the skill mapping, and then go on rising their bar, without their knowing that bar is going. So by the time the bar raises up totally, they are actually following what is required in the industry. So what happens is when the industry experts come here regularly, they are also raising their bar. The proctoral system raises their bar. So the students who go to the practice or in any office, work in any office, or want to have their own startup, they will not find any difficulty saying that industrial setup is different. And that is precisely many of the officers have reported to us that our students have been extremely well, even though see, if you look at the university system has got whatever we are learning from the university through the syllabus, etc. You will see that it is percent of education. There are large things that the students need to know, which falls under the 60% category, such as, for example, office management, site management, then how to have the PR relationship with the clients, how to get the project. These are not something which are taught in the schools. Most of the schools, they are just following the curriculum and they see that, okay, curriculum is finished and the student is passed out. So in that black box, what is taught is only the university curriculum. But here we go about beyond that black box. We train the students in office, site, financial management, everything. In our projects, we ask the students how much would be the cost of the project. So it is something like they need to find out the cost, the material, they do a lot of material surveys, and they find out the cost of the materials, labor cost, everything. So that way they learn quite a lot of things through our program. And that apart, we have signed with large number of organizations, MOUs, and they have collaborated with academia to academia, industry to academia collaborations. And we have registered as with MSME as collaborative incubation cell. So what happens here is we help the students to get the project. We get the project from outside and ask the students to work on the live project. And the student, whatever the fee we get from these projects from outside, the student is also a beneficiary. So what happens is when student becomes beneficiary of those projects in terms of the amount they earn, that is something which makes them feel that they need to do project in those directions. So we don't force them to say that you do it likewise. The industry itself, the way the projects come in, the way they need to handle makes them do the project likewise. So this is one thing that we do. Then we have everything is highly practical with summer schools and winter schools. Students go to the respective places, various places in India, and station there, and they do live projects so that they learn from the live projects there. And that apart, communication is given a lot of importance. So we have this creative and technological, development in our learning process that we have. All the verbal, visual, written skills and listening communication skills are very, very developed for our students. Even if there are students who are right brain thinkers. See, the thing is, students who come to the architecture generally must have both left brain and the right brain, which means to say their logical skills and the aesthetic skills are balanced. Who are highly oriented towards the creative side or somebody who is totally oriented towards the technical side. So in our programs, we try to make it highly balanced for them. So this topic that we have, it is stuff they learn how to balance. And that apart, the large number of industry experts who are coming here they take them for the site visits or study tours and all that. Our study tours and winter school, summer schools are pretty different from one another. And whenever the students are doing something very nice during the study tour, some kind of remarks from somebody, the sponsorships and all into the data part, so that you are aware like what are the things that school does in terms of sponsorships and scholarships.
So, ma'am, coming towards our next question, any insight on how your college could be more welcoming to the students of different races or economic backgrounds?
Yeah, currently we do not have any of the international students on our institution, but we are certainly looking for, because we have actually gone to the various GCC countries, and we have interacted with large number of schools there. And in fact, if it was not for pandemic, they would have been there in our school this session. So here, actually, what we do is that because we are approved by AICTE, IEEE, and all these various scholarships, spaceships, all those things that are given by the MHRD, UGC, and AICTE, all these are also being given to our students, which is not so in many of the architecture schools, because they are not approved by AICTE. See, AICTE approval and the Council of Architecture approval, there is some fundamental difference when it comes down to the financial aspects. AICTE supports quite a lot of financial, schemes and all those things. Students are given schemes where they can actually go attend the private area and AICTE pays for, and faculties can do, and all these kind of provisions are there through AICTE, MHRD, UGC. But when it comes down to only Council of Architecture registered colleges, what happens is it becomes very difficult. They have to look for only few, grants that they are given. So that being said, through CIC projects also students get supported, as I already said. And students get placed through various internships and all by us, and placement is 100%. And we don't have any kind of problem in terms of placement or internship for that matter. So in that part, we don't collect, most of the institutions collect the annual fee at one time at the start. Here we do not collect the annual fee at the start. What we do is, it is only the semester fee they have to pay. So they get complete breathing time of one full semester to pay the next fee. So every year they have to pay the fees twice, and where they have to pay only the semester fee, and the admit card gets generated based on that semester. It is a very systematic structure where and then we have so everything starts getting logged in as a semester. So it is a very we have, and we have a lot of students who are from poor background, where they cannot go for NACA training and all those things. We give free support to them on the NACA training. So last time, there was one boy from Mumbai who needed a very bad support for NACA training support. We have one, and that student scored 160 in the NACA ranking. That was depending on the student requirements, we do that. And the travel grants are assessed, travel grants are there. And whenever to make anything to map related matters, college actually it does not ask for the student funding. Student funding, the student have to spend only for their materials that they require in the classroom sessions to get marks. Rest of all, the school takes care. And there is something programmed by an association of students that is called NASA, and in case of planning NASPLAN. The student body, we have a student council, and this student council actually is a 52-member body which takes care of large whatever the decisions the student want in terms of what they want to learn. In addition to that, we have something called Practical Open Hub, students have the opportunities of in undergoing, if they want, for example, if they want new subjects to be learned, which are not actually in the syllabi or part of the various syllabus or schools, etc. Such also they can learn because we are in the integrated campus where we have design schools, we have engineering, management, pharmacy, everything is there. So these students can go about. Recently, I will just tell you that I was invited by Manipal hospitals. Generally we tend to feel that other than design, what is it that hospitals require from architects? There, I was asked to tell them, like, in terms of the services, facilities, and in terms of betterment of the hospital, what all can be done. So it was just 4 days back. I have given a speech there for them so that it improves. So these kind of things, like another very important part is our teachers are somebody who are well known in the in the industry. And most of them, there are a large number of our teachers are from places like Carmel University, Penn State University, Edinburgh University, Milan University, and they have done postdoc, and they have also done their university work. And in fact, one of my teachers was funded for with Bhavan but that was a bilateral agreement between Manmohan Singh and Obama with regards to sustainable energy efficient results. And we came out with the building emission guide, which is being launched in India about 20 years back, and our institute was part of it. So what happens is students not only learn about the general subjects or something, they also get benefited in terms of along with bachelor's, if they are able to get a certificate of, IGBC or Jam or Graha or the student will be getting almost about 15,000 more than any other student from any other institute. That is one part. And in addition to that, there is a lot of challenges that we face. That is, according to the new there are about 50 international universities which will be down in India. And when they are in India, for that matter, the students naturally will be focused to join those universities as an international tag. Unless, gear up to I don't think students in India will exist. And because most of the people will not take admissions in those schools. So I think we are actually sailing in that kind of a level, thinking only in terms of international merger. So whereas you can merger of the subjects in the learning. So what happens is students will never feel that they are less than what the international student would be all. So this is something which is very important for the students.
Okay, so coming towards our next question, ma'am. So what would you like the people to know about your college which they may not know? What's the something USP of Nitte School of Architecture?
Nitte School of Architecture, I think there is one question which I need to answer before answering that question. That is what I think about the top priority of Nitte in terms of last 10 years. So
yes, ma'am.
That particular question I would like to answer before answering the next question.
Sure, ma'am.
See, 3 years, Nitte is a brand. So it is a brand. We have large number of institutions which are under Nitte.
Yes.
And we have 2 campuses, one in
Bangalore.
Another is in Bangalore. But the institutions are located in different parts of Karnataka, also connected to these 2 epicenters, basically. And this is entirely driven by the vision of late Sri K.S. Jetty, who was CJI of India. Then also, which is being taken over by Dr. Nitte and Dr. Neuroscience. In fact, we are located in Bangalore campus, and Bangalore campus is totally driven by the National Research Architecture Planning. and design is highly biased. So he started this idea of the campus, and I was called for to set up this unit. And the unit is growing very well. And in fact, to tell you about energetism, chancellor of the Central University, Collegedunia, where Karnataka is thinking. So every one such university, and Karnataka has it at Collegedunia. And he also was, actually the vice chancellor, twice vice chancellor of Bangalore University. And that party has worked in many top positions in IST, AICT, etc., and the environmental state. So now, how I look at this 10-year goal is, let me tell you, 10-year planning for 10 years in a current situation where everything is changing will be just, talking in air. I do not want to talk about 10 years thing. What about a long-term vision would be set up this as a 24-bar learning center, which means it is very similar to what happens in Oxford, or for that matter, Arizona. Or if you go, I had my son studies in Arizona. He's doing his final year. He's doing his PhD. His last a few months to complete. When he went there, it was a lovely place where every place the students were only learning, and the institutions were open throughout day and night. Anytime you can walk in, anytime, there's no barrier. It's a totally barrier-free learning. And that is precisely what we want to do here. So that, there is nothing like, and everything should be in campus. And that may require a lot of, things to be sorted out by the management in terms of creating residential stay provisions for long-term students who want on the research. So this may be one of the things that they need to take up, and I'm sure with the kind of leadership, the central leadership of Vinay Hegde sir as well as Dinesh sir, this will definitely happen. And now Mr. Rohit Punja is also joined, and he is also visionary when it comes to the unity groups of institutions. So that is one thing. And very importantly, we want our institution should be the only choice. If somebody asks where do you want to join, the student should be able to say that I want to join Nitte, first option, second option, I want to join Nitte, I want to join Nitte. These are the kind of options we want them to take nowhere else. So that is the kind of environment we are trying to build. It is, though we are in a very nascent stage, but our the way we have gone with the projectile is, I'm sure in next 10 years, we will definitely be one of those who can be compared with the topmost universities of the world. One. And it is not something which I'm talking just in air, but I'm talking because we are doing a lot of things which are innovative basis. And we are the only institutes probably who are trying to, architectures, those who are looking at nanotechnology, artificial intelligence, and all these things, which to integrate it with architecture, which no other institute is currently doing it. Not even in IITs, you can find architects getting into nanotechnology, where we are trying to use the nanomaterials for our architecture, etc. These are the things which are done only in Western countries, and this is something which we want to do. That is one thing. And the other very short-term goals, if you are looking at, is to ensure that we meet all the statutory, regulatory, and implied needs of the institution. Implied needs of the institution is the vision of the institution, where everything is directed to the central one pivot point, which we call the vision of everyone. Okay. So that is what we are planning. Yeah.
So ma'am, coming towards our next question. So what do you see as Nitte School of Architecture, Planning and Design's greatest strength?
It's like people want to know a couple of things about our institution. And this is greatest strengths. Greatest strengths, the first-line strength is our proactive, responsible and committed management. That is something we'll be very surprised in this pandemic period when many of the institutions were cutting down the salary or removing the faculty, full-time faculty from their roles, or not. Whenever any lady gets pregnant, immediately take them off the roles. These were the things that are happening in most of the institutions. But our institution has paid the salary every last day of the month, full salary to all the faculty, all the full-time faculties, and many of the visiting faculties, unless they themselves have left the institution. And paid the maternity leave, paid leave of 102 days for all those who are pregnant. And right now we are having 3 people who are enjoying the maternity leave. That is started in the pandemic period. And they say 182 days somebody gets a free salary. It's something, meeting the statutory requirement, which generally many of the institutes don't. I've been seeing so many mails coming down to my inbox where all the institutions are questioning the government, questioning the AICT and all that, saying that when the institution students are not paying the fees and their fees are all locked up for 16 to 18 months, still, how can we pay all these things? How can we keep the faculty? Our students did not pay the fee for 16 to 18 months, but management was really very gracious enough to give them that time, and then subsequently now one by one all of them are paying their fees. That is something very humanistic approach that management takes. Then second thing is, as I said, all the faculties everything, they are all from the premier institutes, as I said, NIT, SEB, SP, SAP, the Anna University. Then you have, as I said, Textil, Denmark, Carmen, Milan, IISc Bangalore. You see that makes a lot of a difference when faculties come from such premier institutes and they are actually training the students. Then what happens is the standard automatically rises up the way we teach them, or though we never call in the architectures anything as a teaching process. Actually, it's a learning process, because a student may find something new, and student may become somebody who is giving that information of something new to the teacher. So it is a conversation that happens between teacher and the student, rather than saying the teacher teaches in the classroom. So this is something which is we are actually very seriously following that, and that's the reason this doctoral process has helped us. And in fact, when teachers are mentored, junior teachers are mentored by the senior teachers, and everybody gets peer review. All these things, are very healthy when it comes to the learning practices. That is one. And we are the only institutes who have 6 PhDs, full PhDs, and there are many more who have registered. When top colleges in Karnataka do not have so many numbers of PhDs in architecture. That is. And postdocs, we have all of them have, many of them have got funded research fellowships, and they are also doing funded projects. Students, in fact, that's the reason I say that because we have here that kind of structure by the management. Also, we are also learning practices. We have set up a chapter here. Then we are having IGBC students chapter here, and that is also collaborated with the engineering, so that learn a lot of aspects from the technological fields. And in addition to that, also we have MOUs with them, and now we are on Brahma. And so, as I said earlier, the students who come here, they not only are getting the PR or B plan degree, they can take up any of these certificate exams that are conducted by these bodies, and they get minimum 15,000 more than any other architect from any other schools.
Okay. So, ma'am,
in terms of our students,
okay.
If you look at approved by AICTE, ITI, then we are approved by Council of Architecture, Government of Karnataka, IIA, PTO. Then we have the institutional memberships with IIACGS, that is Center for Education, Growth and Research. That is the only think tank in India having 4 innovations with them. And they are directly connected with the AICTE and HRD. And that is where I'm the regional director also, where Nodal Center is being formed in our institute, which will be the node not only for the education of architects or planners, but they will also be we'll also be getting everyone on the board, right from the school education to the PhD. So this is the thing about the CGR. Then we are also institutional members with the IGBC ecosystem. And that apart, we collaborate with large number of organizations. Like in fact, we are connected to near to about 401 organizations of planning, where the students we directly can get internships, especially with that. So that is something which I think the student community should know about it. And that apart, the only institute in which we having deep learning. So the second line of strength is our happy, energetic, enthusiastic, growing teachers and students. So this is our strength. Together, each of us contribute to the development.
Sure, ma'am. So, ma'am, coming towards our next question, what are some of the biggest challenges you see in higher education in general and the Nitte School of Architecture, Planning and Design specifically?
See, as I said, I have already answered that question earlier. That's institutions getting awards alone do not make an institution best institution. Awards alone don't make. So we need to be on par with the international universities that are coming down to India based on this NEP, that is New Education Policy 2020 that has been released. Now, unless we are on par with them and have a 24/7 kind of a learning center, architecture cannot be learned in a regular classroom session. For example, let me tell you, there are so many times that I'm walking with my family somewhere, and suddenly an idea strikes me. Now when that idea strikes me, I don't look for my college time to come here and to write down those ideas. I immediately start working on it at home. So there are times like when I sleep even at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and still I have to get up before 6 o'clock. So my daily routine should not get obstacle because I have slept late or something like that. In fact, our students work whole night. They work on whole night. There are times like they work for 2-3 days continuously like that without any kind of sleep. And then finally, after they have submitted, they go to the sleep. And that day, the sleep is a whole day, probably stretches the next week. So this is a kind of the creative learning itself is like that. It is not something that can be timed or programmed. Right? So that is something very important, and that is where we are giving a lot of focus. And that is the reason I say 24/7 learning center is essential. Just a couple of days back, my son was telling me, I called him, he said, "Mom, no, I cannot talk to you now because I'm rushing to the lab." He's an electronics engineer, electronics and communication engineer working on the signal processing and micro and macro signal processing. And he was getting some idea in the middle of the night. So he gave me he's went to the lab. So that is something which I want my students to do here. And for that, what we do is there are many times the students come to me and they say, "Ma'am, we want to spend night here." I make arrangement with faculty who can stay up here with them, or I myself stay up. There are times that I myself stay up when they work on the projects. There are sometimes those students suddenly come out with lot of such ideas like they want to paint the walls. Which school is going to give them the whole building as their space to do the painting? They generally give out a small part of the wall and say that here you can paint. But our management is the entire building. This is if you want, because the ultimate learn. The students either stay here, feel propelled to better. They should go on and on increasing. So this is what is the idea. And certainly this is a big challenge for us to be on par with the international universities. Then another very important thing is for us idea creation. See, let me tell you, I was working with MS Ramana Institute. At that particular point of time, there were 4 students who had lot of ideas, very good ideas on the roofing systems. And I used to take IPR and research methodology for them. So immediately I decided, I talked to the management and Dr. Kulkarni was the principal, then they agreed saying that we will do the patentings on the institution side. But see, the awareness among the student was still, they were fearing that institution would take away their rights on that. This is something which I have been trying to clear to the students here and say that come out with the idea, it will be patented jointly with you because seeing not accepted so easily by anybody. It is always with and is say singular terms like which lab, where you have gone, what you utilize, all those things come into picture. So here the students, we have told them that you can come out with any number of innovations, and even CEGR is welcoming that kind of a proposal from us, and they say that they will also stand by us for any kind of innovations that we can, our students will get. So this is something very important, and another best thing that the challenge is every student should have an identity, because my student should be identifiable from the large lot. That is my aim. Because it should not be just that, okay, I go and ask that you are from this school. It should be, their work should speak that, okay, this student might be from our institute. Just like how we do it for SET or SPA or any international student. Exactly on the same manner we need to do here. In fact, we have a couple of our faculty whose children are studying in SET. And in fact, one of my faculty, architect Sridevi, OSHA Architects. She's coming down the visiting board here. And she's also a design chair. So her daughter is in SET, Rohani. And she has backed a large number of awards. And like in the lot, when you see a SET product, this is how to do it for our student. Like our student should be viable. Apart from that, that identification is one. Just like how by our parents and all that, these students should be identified by their work in the school. Because these are end, they will be carrying the name of the school. Wherever they go, they'll be asked from which school you are. They never see after some time, they'll not ask who is your father or mother. They'll ask from which school did you pass out. So in the priority level, as they become bigger and bigger, like aging, you'll find that age is not years then, it is about experience. And that is directly linked to professional places where they work. So that is what it is. So we want to see adaptation to be done to the new education policies, norms and standards.
Okay. So ma'am, coming towards our next question. So do you have any suggestion for to give to the current youth and an aspiring student who is looking as an architecture for as a career option, or Nitte School of Architecture as its next institute?
Okay, here I have something. First I'll describe the general students' characteristics, and then I will tell that what is it that they, what are my solutions for this. See, if you look at the students, the current students, they have very short attention span. They do not like to sit more than 30 minutes in the class.
Agree.
The class session of, say, 50 minutes, what is prescribed by the government and various statutory and regulatory body, is very hard for them. And when it comes to design and drawing, they don't mind spending hours and hours very comfortably without feeling fatigued. So that is what. So I'll describe first all the students' characteristics. Don't look for faster and better benefits from the efforts that they put in. If they put in a little work, immediately they want the faster and the best benefits out of that. That is the second. They are smart, quick, fast in assessment, and hence are very judgmental. So what happens is they just go to. I have seen these students just walking into some of the premises and all that. Even without doing anything much, very judgmental, oh, the school is like that. It is very necessary and the internal fabric of that school to get into a school. That calls for talking to the faculties, seeing the works of all the students. Central leadership is certainly a very important part. See, my office is always open for the students. They just walk in anytime. And hardly anybody can feel that I'm a director in the school. They think that, okay, I'm also one of the faculty. They just walk in and they talk to me and they just go. So that kind of an accessibility to the central leadership is very, very important. And then they miss out on many of the finer and refined details that actually affect them later in their life. So, for example, let me tell you, here we, as I said, 40% is what the university syllabus is, and rest 60% they learn from our new other things like the focus on management issues and that part directly. So what they tend to do is, okay, that college is giving us for this particular amount, and this college is giving for this much of amount. So they directly link the curriculum to curriculum, and they say that, oh, you are under BTU. So what is the difference? There is no difference for the same syllabus in both. Actually understand there are a lot of finer details in the university syllabus to play around and make them learn. It is not necessary that we have to be in separate university or autonomous institute in order to do what we want to do. Your university has never stalled us from doing a lot of things. If we consider that as 40%, then the 60% is still with us to do it. But if the institution considers that itself as 100%, then there is nothing that they can do. It's enough if they finish the syllabus and go on. And then they look for shortcuts in life, short gains in life. Many parents are even unaware about architecture and planning. So I feel like the parents should be first educated about what is architecture and planning. They should be made aware about the consequences and users and how the future of the student could be, how they will grow. Everything needs to be told to the students first, to the parents first. So what we do is we generally go to at the different, all the districts of Karnataka, as I had earlier told, that my teachers had gone and given the awareness camp to the parents, students, everybody. And overwhelmingly, like I was finding like large number of students from the rural setups, they came and joined our institute because their parents understood that better than many of the city parents. That is what actually happened. Subsequently, we have been actually talking to large number of even training centers and all that to give us the space to talk about what to expect in architecture and planning rather than marketing it directly. That is all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, coming towards our last question. So, how do you tend to establish a healthy relation and environment in your institute?
Well, personal involvement of me is definitely required, but it has to be strategized. One. Okay, so at the arrival, no distinction should be made between the students at the time of the students. Everybody should be unwinded and brought to the ground zero, and that is where every learning starts. And in fact, we were funded by AICTE to do the skill maps of the students, and that was sent to the parents. We send every year the skill maps of the parents and what their student is. Sometimes parents come here and they directly look into all those details. Sometimes us to send them through the mail, and it is as per the student's choice we do that. Then the self-assessment in the SWOT. See, there is a big gap. For example, let me tell you, I might consider myself to be a very good principal and having known everything, having done everything, and made it. Or if I'm a defiant, then I say that I'm a very poor principal based on. It goes on my personality. Assessment of me and the gap between my thinking and the experience is which needs to be addressed. So what we do is, that is what we do with the students and the faculty, that gap we address. faculty goes through the SWOT process completely, so that the SWOT process and the peer reviews and the time value management, they do assess how much of time they are spending on what, so that they clearly understand are they wasting the time on some of the things which they need done, and they can focus on something else. And sometimes what happens is something very small will be attending, giving so much of importance in the time, and the last thing just escapes us, and we are not able to attend to it. So those things are all given very lot of importance to. So that is important for education. And then a student-oriented education. It should not be educator-oriented education. It's highly student-oriented education, which we practice here. Student want to learn anything, we have a technical open up. When we ask the student to go to any of the institutions within this campus which is there, and they can take up those programs. We add that as the open elective and all that. Now, generally what happens in most of the schools, the open elective is a subject of architecture itself. But for example, if I want to have a subject which is not architecture at all, I have known one student who did neurosciences in architecture. That is very difficult to even understand how neuroscience can affect architecture. Okay, neurology, how it affects architecture. But neurology is all about our senses. All our sensory and motor nerves that we have, they are the ones which are going to affect us quite a lot. We need to ensure that it is not a doctor's job, it is equally architect's job to understand what is it that is going to really be the very strong impulse in us, and how we can work on what is our likes, dislikes. Everything is bundled to a neuroscience in architecture. So this is something, one of my actually faculty's daughter, she has done neurosciences in architecture in United States. She's a practicing architect currently. Okay, so that is one part. And then, as I said, improve the threshold capability. This is a healthy relationship. When we try to improve them, best achievers has to be benchmarked within themselves. Benchmark them with somebody else. So that previous like this, and I have done. So what happens is, that is the one which is going to enchant me rather than when I am compared to somebody. So we never have in this institution anything called first, second, third, fourth kind of rankings. We all have first 10 people will have as best achievers. None of them will know that who actually is really the top. They will never know. So that binds them with a very healthy relationship. So, and that is the environment we want to create for our students. And we don't want our students to follow powerful teachers. Our students to follow and write ideas. So for that, what we have done is we have got a design review process where every student, can take the design review book along with their design works anywhere. They can go to the airport, sit next to an architect, some architect who is flying down, and talk to them and get the review done. They can do that with anybody in any travel mode, or whoever is visiting their house, or they can walk into any architect's office and can get the reviews done. And what happens by doing that? The student will be exposed to large number of suggestions without losing their own idea or the identity. If it is done only in the school, what happens is they look at, director madam is saying this, so we have to do it. If we don't do it, we are going to lose the marks. This is an idea which transcends down, right? So this is what happens in most of the schools. That they look at who is among the 5 teachers who are in the class, who is most powerful, and whose words make impact. And they just start to follow that idea. I have seen in some of the institutions, if a teacher is so much interested in the courtyard kind of planning, every student will do only courtyard kind of planning. Every design that you see, there will be courtyards. And that is not what we want. We want them to follow powerful, dynamic, and right ideas without losing their identity or their ideas. So that is the most important. So this is how I want to develop my institute, and I guess these are the healthy points, and to ensure that the relationship with the environment remains good.
So thank you, ma'am, for taking a time out of your schedule and discussing and sharing your valuable experience with us. So we are glad to have your interview on our platform. So I would like to say thank you, and that's how we conclude the interview for today.
Thank you a lot, because see, there are very few companies like yours who really want to take what comes from the heart of the institute leaders. It is very important. One's in love with the Nicolab and other is in the Nicolab is actually the number trainer and various train on this episode. And here you are directly talking to understand the ethos of a principal who comes, how the architecture and planning has to be done. Thank you so much. And on behalf of my faculty and all the students here, I thank you and your team, the entire Collegedunia team, for considering me.
Thank you, ma'am. It's our honor.